All right, House of Payne fans, hope everyone is doing well. Here's my review for episode 16 of season 9, entitled The Dinosaur and the Rabbit. I literally just finished watching both this and Assisted Living. I was going to wait to do the reviews, but I figured I might as well get them out quickly while it's still fresh in my mind because, well, these shows really don't have a lot in terms of talking points. So before going further in the video, thank you all so much for helping the channel reach 150,000 subscribers. I will definitely be doing a live stream or video celebrating that in the near future. We're right around the corner from 4,000 videos. We should definitely hit that by the end of the week. I only need about 9 more videos to hit that. So 4,000 uploads to the channel. And then the other milestone is we still got a bit of a ways to go. We need a little over 600,000 views to reach 30 million subscribers. So hopefully we'll reach that by the end of the month. So as always, thanks for supporting the channel. So like the video. Let's try to get to about 50 likes on this video. Let's go ahead and hit subscribe because, hey, 150,000 is great, but a million, that's going to take a little bit of time to get there. Also, follow me on my social media accounts. Links are in the description below. And finally, click that bell notification icon so we can increase the percentage of subscribers who actually are notified when I receive, or excuse me, you receive notifications when I post things to the channel. And, you know, I would rather see the percentage go when it comes to, oh, the people who subscribe to my channel actually watch my content. So let's move forward with the review. I know the intro is maybe a couple minutes long, but that's because there really isn't a lot to talk about in this episode. It is disappointing because of the fact that last week I praised episode 15, J Boogie, as arguably being the best episode of season 9 thus far. So out of 15 episodes, it was arguably the best. I think I still stand by that statement. Yeah, it was definitely one of the best. This episode turned out exactly how I feared it would. It suffered from prolonged scenes that didn't need to be that long, repetitive dialogue. I mean, just the usual 1-2 punch for what makes a bad episode of this new House of Payne series, Assisted Living, and even going back to the Paynes. I give this episode a 1 out of 10, and the only reason it gets a 1 instead of being a 0 or a negative number is because we got the return of Floyd. So I hope this episode shows you all what I meant when I always say, because people, whenever I'm doing live streams or looking in the comment section, people are like, hey, when's the barbershop crew coming? I mean, the fire crew is supposed to be coming back. So when's the barbershop crew coming back? When's Clarita coming back? What about the Hernandez family? Will they come back? And I've said it time and time again. It doesn't matter how many of the original cast comes back to season 9. Because if the quality of the writing is trash, their present is a great, oh, well, yeah, I remember this character, but it adds nothing to the episode. I hope this episode showed you what I meant by that. Like, again, it was great to see Floyd, but, you know, I guess due to circumstances, we wouldn't get any kind of backstory about what he's up to, or had he in the love train, or if he reopened the barbershop, whatever the case may be. Because, yeah, I mean, Curtis was high, and I obviously, you know, see why that wasn't brought up. Maybe next week, I don't know. But let's just talk about the episode because, okay. So Curtis sees a rabbit. Then apparently he sees a dinosaur. And honestly, I thought, you know, I thought that maybe based on the synopsis, which said Ella calls Floyd to help her with Curtis. Ella finds the vape pen. Both Curtis and Ella experience hallucinations with a vape pen. That is absolutely incorrect. Ella calls Floyd to help with Curtis. True. Ella finds the vape pen. False. That was Floyd that found it. Both Curtis and Ella experience hallucinations with a vape pen. That's a half truth. Both experience hallucinations, but Ella is hallucinating based off her eating a couple of the edibles. I believe she at first grabbed one. It was the weed mint. She had one, and then it's like, oh, this is good, like oregano. And then she ate another one. And I mean, who's to say she doesn't go back to get a couple either off screen between the ending of this episode and next week's episode, or at the beginning of next week's episode she has more? I don't know. But in any case, Yeah, Curtis sees a rabbit in Dinosaur. I was thinking that Curtis would see the rabbit because that was hinted at last week, and then maybe Ella would see the dinosaur, but that obviously isn't the case. So Ella asks for help getting the blender because it's too high up for her to reach it, and Curtis is high, and it's just back and forth banter of, I'm coming, baby. Well, you ain't moving. I'm coming. Curtis, this episode should automatically be like a -15 because Ella did the Curtis thing. At least I feel like in this one episode, or maybe like the first 7 minutes, whenever Floyd shows up, let's just about the first 10 minutes or so, because you got Curtis in the backyard, then Curtis in the kitchen with the munchies, and then he goes back to the backyard. I feel like Ella screamed Curtis. I feel like she screamed Curtis more times in the first half of this episode than she ever had in the entirety of the Paynes, which I believe was like 38 episodes. I forgot the episode count, but this annoyed the hell out of me. I know that in the preview for next week, she goes, Ella, and it's like, oh, I'm Ella. That was funny. I'll admit that was funny, but sticking to this week's episode. So after the theme song, the sun goes down. When the sun go down, Curtis is high in the backyard tripping. Okay, Ruthless nod, because Ruthless is coming back in 2 weeks. I'm excited about that. Thanksgiving Day. All right, but it's nighttime now, because I was wondering the same thing. I'm like, okay, so at the ending of the last episode, we had Jasmine, CJ, and Janine, and they were on the couch, and, I'm guessing that was like, late afternoon. And then you have Curtis in the backyard. At first, I'm like, whoa. And I'm talking about the beginning of the episode. At first, I'm like, wow, did he just pass out and sleep there all night and now it's daytime again? No, it was like early evening. And then after the theme song, the sun goes down and it's nighttime. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? Because Ella needed help getting a can down as well because she's making dinner. And then at first, she's like, I asked you 30 minutes ago for help with the can and then the blender, and then she switches from 30 minutes to saying it's been an hour since I asked you for help with the blender and the can. And well, to be honest, Ella's grasp of time is the same as Tyler Perry's grasp on continuity between seasons 8 and 9, so I'm not even going to sit here and try to make sense of her statements, because those memes of like, when you ask your mom to wake you up at 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and then the meme is like Shrek at 6:30 a.m. Rise and shine. It's almost like that because, black mothers tend to over exaggerate things. Like, I asked you 30 minutes ago to get that chicken out of the freezer. What are you talking about, Mom? Yeah, I asked you 4 hours ago to get that chicken out of the freezer. What you talking? Last week I asked you to. Mom, what you talking about? So I'll let it slide. It's ridiculous, but again, I'll let it slide. So after that bout about how long she's been yelling his name. Thank God that happened off screen, because if we had Ella on screen calling for Curtis, she probably would have said his name 50 times. So eventually he's still just sitting out there. And then it's like 4 hours later, because, well, I don't want to say 4 hours later. Ella says Curtis had been outside for 4 hours. So I guess that it equates to the time of him sitting out there. Then CJ came over, then went back to the house, and then he took the hits of the vape pen, and then he was just standing out there and just never came inside. So I'm going to assume it's like 9 or 10 o'clock. Again, I'm spitballing. I don't know the time, please. I just know the time frames. I mean, Ella said Curtis was out there for 4 hours, but for all we know, it could have been 8, because she's flip-flopping with the time as much as Tyler Perry is flip-flopping with the quality. So there we go. And later that night, which again, another time jump, because Ella goes out to the kitchen. Who the hell knows how much time has passed at this point? Curtis got the munchies. Again, this was actually a pretty funny scene. I did like it. And he's just there eating everything in sight. And then I did love the reference, like, I'm Janine I'm an addict. I'm Janine 2007. Okay, I did chuckle at that. And then apparently he's looking for his neck, or he's looking for his next hit. It's like, hey, Ella, we go to bed. I won't tell nobody. I'll give you something for the hit. And then he goes to the backyard. He's crawling on the ground, and Ella's saying that, we need to get you to the hospital. We need to call CJ and Calvin. We got to do something. Call Floyd. And then we skip over, and Floyd comes in the next scene. I know it was just a, canned audience reaction, but I did love the applause when he came in, because I'm like, even if it was a live studio audience, people would have went nuts, because like I said before, I did not expect him to show up. And that was a nice treat. Kind of like I think I said this in the preview for this episode. Yeah, the video I did about the preview, or even in the live stream. Like, it reminds me of, like, Girl Meets World. Like, the only episodes of that series I watched were the ones where the old Boy Meets World characters popped up. So Floyd comes over, and Ella explains about what happened, and he goes to the backyard, and he reveals that he had a hit of the vape pen, apparently 10, 15 or more hits. And, Floyd, sniffs it. This is weed, bruh. Okay, there was a pretty funny scene, but it just, like so many other things in this show, it just dragged on for too long. I know in next week's preview, we got Caleb and Curtis. CJ, Floyd. So I think what was missing was, that little spark. It was great to see Floyd interact with Ella briefly and then interact with Curtis, but it was just a dragged out scene. But I guess at the end of the episode, Floyd, I don't know if they're going over to CJ's or the hospital. I know he said CJ, but I couldn't really make out what he was saying because the scene was just all over the place. And again, that freaking laugh track kept, overpowering the dialogue. So it was kind of hard to hear what they were saying. And then they get out of the house. So Ella is going off because she's mad about cleaning that kitchen, like if Curtis expects him to clean up that mess. And then she goes to the backyard, most likely close the screen door, and notices the mint. Oh yeah, I mentioned this already. She notices the mints, eats a couple, and then that's the end of the episode. Yeah, 1 out of 10. This was trash. This pretty much took what was arguably the best Curtis scene of season 9 from last week, because that was like the first scene of Curtis in this season of House of Payne where I'm like, it wasn't dragged out. Curtis was funny as hell. And him taking that hit, is that a rabbit? That was funny. We stayed on that scene for as long as we needed to. That comedic scene was not strong enough to be stretched out over the course of an entire episode. The assisted living episode, where we had Contact High Brown, Mr. Brown, that was funny. That was done right. Even though it took up about half an episode, it was hilarious. With Curtis, it just doesn't hit the same. I mean, hell, at least in the assisted living, you had Leah and Curtis, and then you had the reaction where Vinny found out about the weed being burnt down. That was funny. But in this scene, we had way too much Ella being over the top. I feel like Ella, believe it or not, as much as I want to drag Curtis for the scene of him being high dragged out, I think Ella was arguably the weak link of the episode, because I get that Curtis is stubborn and doesn't want to help out around the house and everything, but for her to wait, 30 minutes or an hour, and then him not coming in the kitchen, even though he's standing right outside. We're not talking about watching a football game or drinking beers. He's literally right outside of that door, and he's not coming in to help. You notice that he's being distant. He's not being cohesive, I guess is the word, cohesive, or even able to move his legs. You think he's playing around. You don't think to call CJ, Calvin, or the hospital or somebody earlier than that, and then for him to be outside for 4 hours. I don't think this episode was a good reflection of Ella being a intelligent wife. I don't mean to say she's dumb, I'm sorry, but I feel like watching this episode, you have to agree with me that if Curtis was acting like that for hours, you don't think something's wrong with him? I mean, hell, remember when it came to Greenleaf, when Bishop started to have a hard time remembering details about things? As soon as he would get up and leave the scene, Lady May was instantly alarmed. Yet, Ella is a poor excuse of a wife when it comes to this particular situation. I get this was an episode supposed to be comedic, but when you look at the darker tones of it, Ella definitely looked incompetent. So there we go with that. But looking over first of all, this video is a lot longer than I thought it would be. Trust me, I thought this video would at least be less than 10 minutes. But other than that, that's really all I have to say. Floyd coming back was great. The Janine 2007 reference was good. And and then the Munchie scene, that was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, trust me, this episode would have been at least maybe a 3 or 4 out of 10 based on all those good things I listed. But just Ella's incompetence and then the overuse. You know it's bad when Ella's use of Carden is used more in an episode than the laugh track. I think that says it all about why this episode got a 1 out of 10, which is a sad fall from grace. Given that last week got so much praise for me. I want to say I gave last week a 9 or 9.5. I forgot what I gave it, but I know it was the highest rated episode of this season for me. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Was I too hard on this episode? Do you agree with what I said? Honestly, I'm a bit indifferent because this episode turned out to be exactly how I thought it would turn out to be. And the episode next week, based on the preview alone, doesn't look like it's going to be too much better, but we shall see. Next week, we have Dark 30. Thankfully, the preview already came out. Thanks to you all who sent me the preview. I'm about to record the preview breakdown now and get that up later today. But as always, I appreciate the support. You know, onwards to 200,000 subscribers and 30 million views and 4,000 videos. As always, if you would like to donate to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to hit me up on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month. I understand the holidays are right around the corner. A bunch of stores are already doing Black Friday sales, either online, in person, or both. So if you can't donate financially, that's completely understandable. Just know that you watching my videos, liking the videos, commenting the videos, all helps with the YouTube algorithm and puts my videos out there so more people will see it in their recommended and things like that. So that alone helps to bring in more ad revenue. So as I always say, you don't have to send money. It is appreciated, but just know that you contributing to the channel by watching my content actually helps bring in more money so I can pay my bills. So once again, I appreciate you for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on the dinosaur and the rabbit. And with that being said, I'll talk to you soon.